Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Lewis Speaks 2023, and I know it's been a minute since I posted a video. I've definitely been riding the waves of life. A lot of transitions are happening in my world right now, so I'm definitely trying to navigate those. I know you have also been trying to ride the waves. I can only imagine what your situation is like, but I would just encourage you to continue to ride those waves. Today, I want to talk to you all about why friendships are ending in 2023. You know, a lot of people are noticing that their friendships are just prematurely ending. Friends that they've had for 10 years, 20 years, even 30 years, just ending, you know? And I think one of the reasons is that we are all going through a collective state of grief. We are all experiencing this collective state of complex grief that's creating a lot of high demand in our friendships and also our relationships. We're expecting a lot from people. We are expecting them to listen. We are expecting them to be present. We are expecting them to basically be our hero. And a lot of people are just trying to get through the day. A lot of people are finding it difficult to just stay alive and just get through the day. Going to work, showering, eating, doing the activities for daily living, even that takes a lot out of us. And then when you add to the mix having to raise children, if you have children, having to deal with your partner, if you have a partner, having to also try to navigate your own complex emotions. It's exhausting. It is exhausting. And many people are just having a difficult time right now navigating so many responsibilities. You know, we are all in a collective state of grief because we're looking out into our world. So much is happening in our world. So many things. Just a myriad of conflicts, a myriad of just disagreements, a myriad of problems, and we're just overwhelmed. And so, a lot of times, we expect so much from our relationships. We expect people to be present for us when they can barely be present for themselves. I think also our friendships are breaking down because there are some of our friends who are selfish, you know? They're very, very self centered, always looking out for themselves. And maybe they've always been this way. But as we start to emerge and as we start to come into ourselves more and become authentic human beings, we start to realize that a lot of these relationships that we agree to were merely manifestations of our wounded selves. We got with these friends because we were broken and they somehow addressed our brokenness and were compatible with our brokenness. You know, a lot of times we get into these relationships also because availability. People, they're available. You know, the people who we really want to deal with, they're inaccessible. They're off this place, they're off that place, they're not accessible. But these other people who we really don't want to deal with, they are available. I think a lot of people also, they have not been honest about their needs in friendships. They have not been honest. You know, they have not been honest about why they're with this person. A lot of people are with other people because they like the attention. They don't necessarily like the person, they like the attention that they're getting from that person. They like the ego stroke, the compliments, the investment, but they don't necessarily jive with that person's energy, but they gravitate towards it because it's an ego boost. And it's a shot in the arm to their self-esteem, you know? But they don't really feel that person. So when that person stops being this ego boost, and when they actually demonstrate a need, all of a sudden we're like, wait a minute, that's not your designated role in my life. Your role is to always be my ego boost. I'm not here to fulfill your needs. So it's this mismatch. It's like a mismatch in in feeling, you know? Like, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, really, that you could spend an eternity pouring into a relationship and then wake up one day and realize that you're the only one pouring. You know, if your trauma response was always to fawn, to people please, to pour into another person, you wake up one day and you realize, wait a minute, my cup is empty. When did this happen? I was so busy pouring that I didn't realize, wait a minute, I'm a human being too. I need to be poured into as well. And so a lot of people, they're waking up. They're waking up and they're starting to realize that the friendships that they've had really were only friendships that were based on wounds, and trauma responses. As you heal and you begin to feel better and do better, your circle begins to change as well. And a lot of people I know, they've mentioned that they've had to cut a lot of friends off. They've had to just sever ties with friends because they realized that these people were not really for them. They realized that the people that they were pouring and investing so much in were not doing the same for them. They were making those friends priority, whereas those friends were making them options and treating them like an afterthought. A bit of self-disclosure, I recently had to terminate a friendship of over 10 years because the person I realized was very selfish. The person, they were treating me like an afterthought, like they could see me anytime. There was no investment. And I realized that after years of friendship, this person never came to see me, never really invested in me. And I asked myself, wait a minute, why didn't you notice this early on? Why didn't I notice this early on? Because I was so busy and so used to being the one that pours. I got typecast in that role. I was comfortable. That was my comfort zone, always being the one to pour. And then I had to step back a minute and realize, okay, I'm feeling resentment. And the reason why I was feeling resentment was because I wasn't requiring others to pour. And so it was a lesson to me. It was definitely a wake-up call in terms of friendship. I realized that it's not fair to burden your friends with unrealistic expectations. But it is necessary for you to establish your requirements. Let them know what you require in order to be a good friend. You know that they want a good friend, right? It goes like this. And you can even say this and repeat after me. You can tell your friends, I know you want good friends. I know that you're a good person and you deserve good friends. In order to keep me a good friend, I have requirements. I require XYZ. Personally, I require consideration. I require mutuality. I require reciprocity. I require those things. That keeps me strong. That keeps me a good friend. If you want a good friend, then I need you to respect those requirements. I need you to do these things. This is what I require. It's not an expectation. I don't expect these things. No more. People, they sometimes just don't have the capacity to hold you. I realize that. And I spoke about that in another video, in an earlier video. But they just don't have the capacity to hold you. And so you need to begin to assess who really has the capacity to give me what I need. The earlier version of myself always looked for how well and good I could be to other people. I always wonder how good I could be to other people. Now the new version is asking, is this person good for me? How good can they be for me? Because I always made sure that I was good for another person. But very rarely did I make sure that they were good for me. So now I'm asking myself, is this person good for me? Are they able to hold me? Do they have the capacity and the space inside themselves to make room for me? And if they don't have room for you, that's fine too. That's fine. Learn that early on so you don't pour into that person and then wake up one day feeling drained and feeling depleted. It's not fun. So that was a lesson that I've had to learn in terms of friendships. And it was a very powerful lesson. It was a very necessary lesson. And I'm grateful for it. I'm really grateful. In the scheme of things, it has been a wonderful lesson for me, you know? And thing is, when you are so used to being a certain way, people come to expect that. They don't really see you as this dynamic human being that has many needs. Human beings are multifaceted. We have many different needs, and a lot of people cannot meet all of our needs, and we have to realize that. We have to realize that as human beings, we do have limitations. We have to acknowledge our limitations and also acknowledge our strengths, and we lean into the strengths of one another. But once again, it's okay to have requirements, you know? It's okay to require certain things from your friendships, you know? And I think that many friendships have broken down because they also don't require much. They don't require much from a friend. They have not made that clear in terms of what they require in order to be healthy, good friends. Why do I think also friendships are breaking down these days? Because people don't want to work. They don't want to do the work. After a certain amount of years, you have to work on all your relationships, be it platonic friendship or be it romantic love. You have to work on your relationships. And a lot of people just want to stick around for the fun. They want the fun times. They want the vibes. Give me vibes. Give me vibes. If you're not giving vibes, they're just like looking at you like you have three heads. You know, these days people are vibe junkies. They want you to give them vibes. Give me vibes. I want vibes. I want vibes. They're just fiends for vibes. And it's crazy. It's crazy. And the thing about it is there are certain people who don't know how to chill with you. They don't know how to just be with you. You always have to be on. You always have to be doing something interesting, doing something fun in order to keep their attention. And that's exhausting. Always feeling the need to be on. I gotta be a vibe. Oh, I gotta be a vibe. I gotta make sure that I'm a vibe, or else I won't have a tribe if I'm not a vibe. Really, it's crazy. It's crazy. It keeps you in this perpetual state of anxiety, worration, stress, wondering when your relationships and friendships are going to just no longer exist because you're not a quote unquote vibe. Sometimes you are boring, and that's okay. It's okay to be boring. It's okay to just sit still and just watch a movie sometime and just talk. You don't always have to be on the go, going to some wonderful place or on some trip. You don't always have to be that way. And the thing about it is I think a lot of times we feel pressured in this generation to always be a vibe, to always be on, or else we're going to be forgotten. You know, we're one vibe away from being forgotten. And a lot of us are fighting for relevance. We're fighting to stay relevant in our friends' lives. And you should never feel as though you have to fight to stay relevant in your friend's life. I'm sorry, that's not cool. That's not okay. So if you feel like you have to fight to stay relevant, like you are one vibe away from being totally forgotten, that's not a friend. That's an acquaintance, that's an associate, that's a person, in my estimation, that's a user. That's a user only using you for a vibe fix. Nah, you need to be comfortable in your friendships. Your friends got to see you in all phases of your life. From the fun phase, to the boring phase, to the depressed phase, to the devastated phase. They got to see the many phases of you, because if they don't, they're not going to be invested. That's the thing. And I realize also why friendships end in 2023 is because they're not rooted in you. They're not rooted in you. And how do you make sure somebody is rooted in you? For one, you have to make sure that you're rooted in you and you're comfortable with yourself. That's first and foremost. Then you have to also just find out what this person wants. Find out what they're looking for. What are they looking for? Are they looking for a solid friendship? Are they looking for an acquaintance? Are they looking for an associate? Find out what their bottom line is. Find out what they're looking for. You know? I think also if you want someone to be rooted in you, you have to require. You have to require that they invest in you, because where people invest, that's where they value. You know? Wherever someone invests their time, energy, and resource, that's where their heart will be. Because if for no other reason, they'll do it or they'll stick with you because of the time, energy, and resources that they invested in you. You know? They may not stay with you because of love and concern, but they will stay because of the time, energy, and resources. They'll be committed to working things out because of the time, energy, and resources that they invested in you. But if they're not investing any time, any energy, or resource, and you're not requiring them to, they're not going to be committed to sticking around. They're not going to be rooted in you. And I think a lot of friendships these days, they're not rooted in one another. Because the reality is they just come into these friendships to gain. They're not coming to give. What can you give me? What are you giving? That's the question that a lot of people in this generation are asking. What are you giving? And they're not asking what they can give. So it's like, it's exhausting. You know, friendship is hard work. It's time. It's energy. It's the sharing of resources. The mutual sharing of resources. It's reciprocity. It's effort. You know? It's extending yourself. It's checking in consistently. And a lot of people these days just don't have the wherewithal to do that. They just don't have the emotional currency and the emotional bandwidth to actually do these things. And it's disappointing. It's depressing, but it's reality. It is reality. So this is the reason why we're losing our friends in 2023. So what's the cure? With all this loss, with all this, for one, we have to deal with our grief. We have to learn how to manage our grief. You know, that's one. I think also we have to realize that friendships take work, and either we're in it for the long haul or just don't waste nobody's time. I think also we need to temper our expectations and actually transfer those into requirements, you know, and hold people accountable. Hold them accountable. And if they choose not to be held accountable, if they're not ready, that's fine too. Cut your losses and move on. You know when to move on. Because I think a lot of us also, we waste our time trying to ready people. We want them to be ready. We want to ready them. They're not ready. They're not ready. They're not ready to be a friend right now in this phase of their life. They're not ready. They need a couple of more life experiences to happen to them before they're ready. They're still cooking. They're still cooking. They're still developing. But in the interim, what you have to do is respect your time, respect your energy, respect your resources, and actually be like, okay, I see you're not ready. I'm moving on. I'm moving on to somebody who can value what I put into them. If you can't value my investments, well then, okay, I'm going to move on. I have to move on. And that's the thing. We don't move on as soon as we identify. We don't move on in time. We wait, we hope to ready these people. We hope that we can turn them into the friend of our dreams. No, they're not ready. And so you have to recognize that and move on. I think also how to heal and be a good friend. Realize that, you know something, if you want a good friend, you have to be a good friend. Make a list of all the characteristics that make you a good friend. And then, look for those characteristics in other people. Identify your needs. What are your friendship needs? What do you need a friend? Do you need a friend who can spend money on you? Do you need a friend who can just go on trips with you? Are you looking for an all-purpose friendship? Are you looking for an activity buddy? What type of friendship are you looking for? And be real, be legit. You know? You have to be honest and don't waste your time. And don't waste somebody else's time. If they're not what you're looking for, don't stick around. Say deuces, honey. Deuces. Definitely. Give them a gentle farewell, a cordial goodbye, and keep it moving. Because too many times we agree to things that we really don't want, and then we end up suffering under the weight of another person's expectation. We end up suffering under the weight of our own guilt because we know deep down inside this is not what we want. But yet and still we continue on in these friendships because of guilt. We don't want to hurt anybody, But you end up hurting them anyway because you basically don't invest as much, and they can tell. They know deep down inside that this person is not feeling them like that. They know deep down inside this person is not really feeling them like that. They know that there's something off about that friendship. And that's another thing. When you feel initially that something's off in a friendship, follow that intuition. Follow that intuition. Because too many times we don't follow our intuition and we end up trying to hold up under the weight of guilt and inauthentic feeling. So, think about it is, something, realize that friendship is work, do the work. Invest. Because the thing about it is this, if you want healthy relationships that will last forever, you're going to have to continue to do the work. When you think about the ground doesn't just grow food without it being watered, tended to, cared for, given sunlight, attention, investment, plowing, tilling, readying the soil. If you're not ready to actually do the work, say out of people's faces. It's just that simple. Don't just be in a friendship because of the benefits. Because a lot of people only want to be in friendships because, this person, they're going to go here. They're always doing fun things, so I'm going to align myself with their energy. Nah, that's selfish. You can't come to a friendship asking yourself what I can give versus coming to a friendship saying what I can get. Well, then stay out of that friendship because it's not really a friendship at all. What it is you trying to use somebody to secure some unmet need. And that's not friendship. So, once again, for those out there trying to navigate this complicated terrain of friendship, just know you're not alone for one. Right now, 2023 is real difficult. These are some dark times. And right now, we all need one another. And most importantly, we need God. That's one. And we also need quality friendship. This whole just buddies that, you can go to the club with, you can do, we need deep, solid relationships, deep, solid friendships that are based on sincerity, authenticity, love, and genuine support. So I definitely wish that everybody out there finds those friendships that really speak to the person that you are, and also be those friends. Be those friends for other people. Be the love that you seek, and the love you seek will be. So this is Lewis Speaks saying thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of 2023. Peace, y'all.